It's that time of week again. It's Thursday. It's the day after New Comic Book Day. It's comic book hangover. It's time to go through my weekly haul. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to start as I have been the last couple of weeks. I'm going to start with the reprints that I picked up. So from DC, I got a couple of their dollar comics this week. Green Lantern Rebirth #1. Nice cover by Uncle Ethan there. And Batman #567. Nice cover. These are all, of course, important and pertinent to what's going on in DC now. I don't really know what's going on in DC now, so I just get them because they are $1 and nice covers. And yeah, I'm gonna read these. I've actually been enjoying reading these old DC books. So moving on from Marvel, their dollar books that I picked up this week. They're two True Believers from the Iron Man 2020 event that's going on right now. I grabbed Machine Man at #2. It's the first appearance of Arnold Stark. And once again, this week they continued putting the reason why it's part of the True Believers up here, as opposed to taking out the entire logo area and redoing it. This is awesome. This is how I like it. So I grabbed that one. And Wolverine. This is also part of the Iron Man 2020. Albert and LCD, Iron Man Wolverine #37 from his first series. And then from Marvel Facsimile World, that came out this week, Wolverine #1, his first miniseries, first issue. I did have an original one of these. I had the first 3 issues of this miniseries. Somebody offered some money for them, so I sold them because, whatever. But I've got the reprint for it. I also grabbed the facsimile edition for Fantastic Four Annual #6. And aside from everything else that this book has, really the main reason to have this is Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby. That's actually the main reason to get this. So I do have this in one of my Marvel Essentials. I have a whole line of Marvel Essential Fantastic Four, and I know this is in there, but just the same, it's in color this time. It's Jack Kirby. It's classic Marvel. It's what I like. So, moving on from the reprints, the other new books that I picked up this week: Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality #3. I grabbed the regular cover. So I do like this image of a black suit Spider-Man dressed up as Doctor Strange. Is pretty cool. So this kind of continues where Hobgoblin was able to gain control of Doctor Strange's powers and is basically realigned reality to fit his means and what he wants to do. So Spider-Man is being trained by Doctor Strange to learn how to use defensive sorcery. So it's a really good read. It's a lot of fun. So I'm hoping that they continue doing these when this is done. The next one I grabbed. This one had some variant covers, but I like this cover. This is Morbius, the Living Vampire #4, sort of an homage to Dracula, Tomb of Dracula #1, classic Marvel horror comic. Now this series, I'm getting this because I like the character Morbius, just like I like Ghost Rider. But the problem that I'm having with this right now is this series here doesn't seem to have a long-range game plan. This story feels like it would work great as a miniseries, as a 4 or 6 issue miniseries. Just get it out and get it done and move on to the next thing. In reality, the only reason why this book is happening is because of the Morbius movie coming out. If Morbius didn't have a movie, this series wouldn't happen. So it does feel forced. It's not going anywhere. This is issue 4, and we're still basically dealing with stuff that happened in issue 2. We're not moving the story forward at all, and so it's kind of disappointing. I'm gonna give it probably until issue 6, see where it goes. If it hasn't picked up any speed or any steam at all, it doesn't seem to have a long range plan to it, I'm probably gonna drop it, which would make me sad because Morbius is one of my favorite characters. But there's no point in getting a book that I'm not really enjoying reading. So sometimes you got to make those cuts. Speaking of a book that probably didn't need to happen, Spirits of Ghost Rider, Mother of Demons, one shot, supposed to focus on Lilith, who was introduced back in the 90s Ghost Rider run. I believe issue 28, she made her big debut as part of the Rise of the Midnight Suns crossover that went through various Ghost Rider books at the time. This one here, the only purpose this serves for Lilith is it gives a bit of an origin, but also explains why she sort of looks like this mod goth, emo, whatever this mess is here. It gives an explanation as to why she looks like this, but it also doesn't gel with what we know about the character from the 90s Ghost Rider run, from the original Rise of the Midnight Suns storyline. So it stands on its own, but it doesn't go with everything else that we know before. Now, that said, I did grab the variant cover for it because it's a really hot cover. I really like this cover. The reds and the sort of bluish greens that are going with it. She looks wonderfully wicked in there. But so I had to get it. But that said, this $5 comic could have been an issue of Ghost Rider. It basically was an issue of Ghost Rider. Lilith was in it for the first part of it, but then it goes into, and then it follows Johnny Blaze, and then you get Danny Ketch, the Spirit of Corruption. You see the first full appearance of Danny Ketch as the Spirit of Corruption. He's got a weird armor. He's got a sword. It's kind of cool because the part of the towards the handle of his sword looks like the headlights on the Ghost Rider motorcycle when he was Ghost Rider, the original Ghost Rider motorcycle. So that was kind of cool. But the thing is this could have been an issue of Ghost Rider, and it really didn't need to have its own one shot or anything like that. But that said, I'm a mark for Ghost Rider, so I went out and grabbed it anyway. I grabbed the variant cover, despite not really caring for variant covers, but every once in a while they do a hot one, so I grab it. Moving on. Thor. Number 3, Donny Cates. Everybody's favorite Donny Cates. Most everybody's favorite. He's not one of my favorites, but he does a good job on this one here. His Thor and his Guardians of the Galaxy, as I've said before, Guardians of the Galaxy was great. I love the fact that he was able to take Guardians of the Galaxy away from being a one-note joke and make them a legitimate team again like they were during Annihilation Conquest and the stories that followed that. Thor, he's taking Thor to a whole new level. Now this issue here, as you can see in the corner there is Stormbreaker, which means Beta Ray Bill is in this issue. Beta Ray Bill is one of my favorite Thor characters, him and Sif. I love those two characters. Couldn't tell you why, but I do. It's just one of those things, and if my fellow comic fans will understand, sometimes you just like a character because you like that character. Now this one is basically, it doesn't move the story forward at all, really. It's kind of it's basically just a pissing contest between Beta Ray Bill and Thor, with an extremely patient Galactus waiting in the wings, an uncharacteristically patient Galactus waiting in the wings. I mean, he's trying to gather his energy to fight this coming destruction, yet he's allowing Thor and Beta Ray Bill to have the little pissing contest, and he doesn't really say too much about it. But then aside, it's still, this Thor series is a lot of fun. I do recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite Marvel books that I'm getting right now. I'm not really getting a whole lot, but this and Ghost Rider, they're always, on the weeks that they come out, they're near the top of the stack that I always get. Last book that I picked up this week, Go-Go Power Rangers number 29. It is part of the Necessary Evil storyline. It's also one of the last issues of this series. It is coming to an end. Really, this issue, it is kind of a mess. It's going between this and Mighty Morphin. It is kind of confusing. It's kind of hard to keep the two timelines straight. This though does kind of give a backstory to one of the characters that is she's a major character in the Necessary Evil, and she's playing a bigger part in the Mighty Morphin series. So this is sort of like where she shows up for the first time. So it is an interesting story to get, and another great cover. I love the covers for the series. So that said, those are all the books that I picked up this week, and I'm going to go ahead and put them up on the wall. I'm going to take a look at my wall this week, see how it looks. I'm not going to really have any room for any classic comics. I'm trying to figure out a way to bring in some of the books from my collection. I may just make them part of this little video review thing that I do, and just say, here's the new books, here's the reprints of the new books, and here's what I think about them, and then here is a book from my collection. A lot of the books that I have, they do have some, they don't have a lot of secondary market value, but they do have a lot of sentimental value, and there are reasons for them being in my collection. So I may start doing that more, because it's my 30th year collecting comic books non-stop. I started in 1990 with Ghost Rider Volume 2 number 1. the Danny Ketch ghostwriter, and I've been going non-stop for 30 years. I think the longest that I've gone without getting books is when I lived out in Portland and I didn't have a regular LCS out there, and I was getting my books on a monthly basis as opposed to a weekly basis. So that's really the only time I had any kind of a break. Instead of going week to week to week, I was going month to month to month. So other than that, it's been nonstop. I've never taken months off or years off of collecting comics, and I've enjoyed it for the most part. So I may get into talking more about my life as a comic book collector, the things I like, things I didn't like, the books I really got into, covers I like, that sort of thing. So I'm still working out the details on that, but that's basically what it's going to end up being. So that said, let's go ahead, stop this part of the video, click that little box right there, and we're going to take a look at my wall.